What if the xenomorphs were real? It's a chilling question, one that sits at the edge of our fascination with science fiction and our fears of the unknown. These creatures, first introduced to audiences in Ridley Scott's 1979 film Alien, represent a perfect predator, relentless, adaptable, and terrifyingly efficient. Their biology, life cycle, and instinct for survival make them the stuff of nightmares. But what if they were more than fiction? What if somewhere in the cosmos, or closer to home, they existed as a biological reality? To begin unpacking this possibility, we need to analyze the implications from multiple perspectives: scientific, ecological, sociopolitical, and even philosophical. Xenomorphs, in theory, would not just be another alien species to study. Their presence would fundamentally alter our understanding of biology, evolution, and the potential hazards of space exploration. The biology of the xenomorph is perhaps its most fascinating and frightening feature. From its parasitic reproduction process, implanting embryos in hosts via facehuggers, to its rapid growth and acidic blood, the creature's anatomy is perfectly tuned for survival and destruction. If such a species were real, it would prompt a radical shift in the way we define life and how we approach the concept of host-parasite relationships. Scientists would be desperate to study its genetic makeup, but doing so would come at a massive risk. Containment protocols would need to surpass anything we have today. One slip, and the consequences could be catastrophic. A single egg or spore reaching Earth could spell disaster, particularly if it went undetected long enough to begin the xenomorph's breeding cycle. Assuming initial contact did not wipe out an entire research team, the scientific community would likely split into camps: those advocating for immediate eradication and those pushing for controlled research. Ethical debates would erupt. Would it be right to study such a species if it meant sacrificing lives? Would the pursuit of knowledge justify the potential threat to humanity? History has shown that humanity often pursues knowledge despite great risks. Consider the development of nuclear technology, once thought too dangerous to pursue, yet now a staple of both energy and military strategy. It's not unthinkable that, faced with the opportunity to understand the xenomorph, certain factions would take the risk, hoping to weaponize or control them. The Weyland-Yutani Corporation in the Alien franchise is a fictional example of corporate greed overriding ethical restraint, but in reality, similar motivations could arise. Governments or private companies might envision the xenomorph as a biological weapon or a tool for terraforming uninhabitable planets by eliminating native predators. The military implications of the xenomorph's existence would be enormous. Nations would rush to secure samples for weaponization. Biological warfare would take on a new level of horror. Imagine a future where dropping a xenomorph egg on enemy territory becomes a viable tactic. The uncontrollable nature of the creature, however, would make such actions suicidal. Once released, xenomorphs wouldn't distinguish friend from foe. Their survival instinct overrides any allegiance. Even if the initial intent was to deploy them as a deterrent, the threat of global infection or annihilation would remain too high to ignore. It would likely result in the creation of specialized task forces, equipped with flamethrowers, exosuits, and acid-resistant gear. New defense technologies would be developed, possibly even involving artificial intelligence and robotic units to minimize human exposure during combat. Ecologically, the introduction of xenomorphs to Earth or any habitable ecosystem would be devastating. Unlike Earth's apex predators, which are bound by the limits of the food chain and natural population control, xenomorphs operate outside those systems. Their reproductive process allows them to multiply rapidly, especially in host-rich environments. In a forest, they would dominate the food chain in days. In an urban setting, the chaos would be unimaginable. They don't require conventional food sources and have no known natural predators. They exist only to propagate and eliminate threats. The Earth's biodiversity would be at risk of collapse if xenomorphs were allowed to spread unchecked. To counter this, humanity might be forced to create no-go zones, entire quarantined regions dedicated to xenomorph containment. These areas would be under constant surveillance, perhaps even orbital control to ensure sterilization if things got out of hand. It's not beyond belief that we would sacrifice entire cities if needed to halt their spread. The reality of such decisions would challenge our global unity, test our preparedness for existential threats, and likely divide populations based on ideology and fear. Refugee crises, government overreach, and civil unrest could follow outbreaks or even rumored sightings of xenomorphs. From a philosophical standpoint, the existence of xenomorphs would force humanity to confront its place in the universe. Are we truly the dominant species? Are we prepared for the reality that life elsewhere might not be intelligent and peaceful, but rather hostile and biologically superior? The discovery of intelligent alien life is often portrayed as awe-inspiring or spiritually enlightening. But xenomorphs offer no such comfort. They are driven by instinct, devoid of emotion, empathy, or reason. They reflect our deepest fears, not just of death, but of irrelevance, of being prey in a universe that does not care about our intelligence or achievements. Religions might struggle to incorporate xenomorphs into their cosmologies. Some might interpret them as demonic entities, tests of faith, or harbingers of apocalypse. Others might see them as proof that creation is more vast and terrifying than previously imagined. These philosophical and theological conflicts would mirror the existential dread felt across the globe. People might abandon cities, shun space exploration, or embrace nihilistic ideologies. Others might respond with renewed unity, forging global alliances to ensure survival. The human spirit, after all, has often proven resilient in the face of unimaginable adversity. The social impact of living in a world where xenomorphs are real would be profound. Popular culture would shift drastically. Films and books would no longer be speculative but cautionary. Schools might teach xenomorph biology as part of standard science curricula. Emergency drills might include xeno-lockdowns along with fire and earthquake procedures. The presence of such creatures would become a generational trauma, with stories and experiences shaping cultural norms and behaviors. Psychological conditions might emerge, xenophobia, not just as fear of aliens, but of specific encounters, memories, or even dreams involving the creatures. Survivors of attacks or near misses could suffer lifelong PTSD. Therapies, medications, and mental health protocols would evolve in response. Economically, the emergence of xenomorphs could lead to massive upheavals. Industries would collapse, especially those linked to tourism, aviation, and space exploration. Conversely, new sectors would rise. Xenodefense, biological containment, interplanetary quarantine enforcement, and AI-driven surveillance would become dominant. Wealth and power could consolidate in the hands of those who control xenomorph-related technologies or who manage to weaponize them safely. Black markets might emerge for alien artifacts, genetic samples, or even captured creatures, leading to global tension and enforcement dilemmas. In the realm of space exploration, the discovery of xenomorphs would cast a long shadow. Every expedition would face heightened scrutiny. Astrobiology, planetary protection protocols, and off-world containment units would become essential. Missions might carry kill switches or sterilization systems in case of exposure. Human colonization of other planets, once seen as a noble frontier, would be regarded with fear and suspicion. Some might advocate for abandoning interstellar travel entirely. Others might push for aggressive colonization with military safeguards, hoping to claim and secure safe zones beyond Earth. Despite all this, humans are nothing if not adaptive. History shows that even when faced with incredible odds, natural disasters, pandemics, world wars, we find ways to endure, to innovate. The xenomorph threat, while dire, could unify us in unexpected ways. Shared threat often dissolves boundaries. Former enemies may become allies. New technologies, medicines, and even philosophical frameworks could emerge from our struggle to understand and contain the creatures. We might develop enhanced AI, stronger materials, or even find peaceful ways to coexist if we uncover deeper layers of xenomorph behavior not currently understood. The idea that xenomorphs could be real taps into something primal. It forces us to look beyond our planet and acknowledge that the universe is not made in our image. It is vast, uncaring, and potentially hostile. In such a reality, survival becomes more than a biological imperative. It becomes a collective mission. Whether through war, science, diplomacy, or retreat, humanity would be forever changed by the knowledge that we are not alone, and that what else is out there may not wish us well. In conclusion, the existence of xenomorphs would be an existential challenge, one that would stretch humanity's scientific, moral, and emotional limits. We would be forced to confront the terrifying possibility that nature, in all its variety, includes creatures whose only function is destruction and reproduction. But perhaps in doing so, we would rediscover our greatest strength, not in dominance or intelligence, but in our capacity to adapt, to unite, and to persevere even in the face of our worst nightmares. What if the xenomorphs were real? In that case, the universe would become a far darker place, but it would also awaken a deeper awareness of what it means to be human.